Hey, Patrick, how you doing today, bud?
Not too bad at all, buddy. So there's been a bit of news out of Belfast. So I think everyone in the world has seen it now at this stage. Horrific attack.
Absolutely horrible. Apparently, a Sudanese man in his 30s attacked an individual in northern Belfast, and he was using a steak knife to attempt to carve out the other gentleman's eyes and behead him, literally with a steak
Yes.
knife. A gentleman showed up on scene, had a hurling stick, kind of like an Irish hockey stick, full oak, bad news, and
Yes.
beat the brakes off the dude. So the
Yeah. But,
individual,
well, it wasn't just him. There was other individuals there as well,
right,
jumped in as well at
right.
the same time, which was fantastic.
There was another individual in the car with him who went to
Yeah.
assess and then came back looking for the hurling stick because they realized the man had a knife and they needed something to equal the odds.
Horrific attack.
We're going to be working with Sky News Australia on this one as our backdrop for video. It's the most concise one we found. It's got the best information. It's the most well done from what we found. We're going to go into a couple articles after that about the individuals specifically involved.
Now to that deeply disturbing story out of the UK. As I mentioned at the top of the show, there have been chaotic scenes in Belfast overnight as protesters took to the streets in rage, burning homes and vehicles following the stabbing of a man in his 40s by a 30-year-old Sudanese man. He's been charged with attempted murder following the attack on Monday night. For more on this now, I'm joined by writer and broadcaster Esther Kraku. Well, Esther, there's rage on the streets of Belfast. Is that
And there should be rage on the streets of Belfast. And they're not actually showing the knife or the blood that was on the street. They're actually blocking that out. It's a lot
Yeah.
of blood, and it was a pretty good sized knife. So I don't understand why they're doing that. I guess for people's sensibilities.
Yes. It's yeah. That's what normally you'll see that in most reports like this. People don't like to see a graphic image, but I can understand the anger in Belfast at the moment. This is not. There's been multiple attacks like this all across, not just Northern Ireland, but South as well. I think there's anger on both sides of the border.
Right, all the G20 countries. And a lot of the problem has to do with how the border functions from Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland, where people can either fly into Dublin and go north to the UK or fly into Belfast in Northern Ireland and head
And
south
come down to
into the Republic.
yes. So they were saying roughly about 80% of our inward migration into Ireland in the last couple of years is coming from Northern Ireland.
Right.
So
So
they're flying to Belfast, they hop on a train, they're straight down to Dublin. That's it.
to get benefits and extract resources from the home country there. And that's absolutely inappropriate behavior. I mean,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
you're not supposed to be there. There's a way to do it. You need to go through the proper channel.
They ought have some sort of sub story for asylum.
Well, of course they
As they
do.
say, as they say long ago, Grimm's fairy tales will be more believable than some of these stories that they be sprouting.
Well, I think the problem is with you have unvetted and unregulated migration. The purpose of an immigration policy is to improve the host country, not for economic migrants to excise citizens' money. That's not the
Yes.
purpose of it. If it doesn't improve your country, it shouldn't be going on. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why we would do this. Well, we covered a video on it, but it just
Mm.
seems more and more fantastical that we're just going to give resources away and displace our own population, end up with enclaves where people who are the citizens of that country are just completely disallowed. And not you can't come here, but if you come here, a bad thing will happen, like the no-go zones in Sweden and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
it's
I've seen that in other G20 countries. Yes.
well, Denmark, Sweden, a lot of those countries are
Yeah,
doing a lot about it.
in fairness now to Denmark, they have a fantastic immigration policy and so on.
Right, they've instituted something pretty amazing. And Switzerland, when we went over the countries in the EU and Europe in general, Switzerland seemed to have the most comprehensive package for attaining
A
citizenship.
lot of a lot of countries do have some sort of or starting to bring in immigration policies. Well, you'll see a lot of Eastern European countries already had it in place. A lot where we are kind of reacting at the moment in the rest of Europe.
Well, in a lot of Eastern European countries, they just push them straight back out. They're like, you can't be here. Out you go. Like, get out. They're actually
Yeah.
regulating their border. And Poland's been running into some issues as well, where they're being fined by the EU for not observing the policy as put down. So it's just, what are you going to do, right? So
Yeah.
we have a range of policies from Switzerland that's good to almost anything less, except Denmark is just not effective. So
Yeah, but remember now, Switzerland is outside the EU. They're part of Europe, but they're not part of the European Economic Bloc, EU.
strangely enough, the bankers have their own place. Oh,
yes.
Who knew?
Yeah.
So the reporter here is going to go over some more of the details as they came down and the effects that it's having on the local community.
That's spreading out across the UK?
At the moment, it seems to be isolated to Belfast and Northern Ireland more specifically, and you can understand why. I mean, Northern Ireland in particular has been very sensitive to this rapid rise in immigration that you've seen over the years, and this isn't the first time that you've seen incidents like this of civil unrest because of alleged behavior by immigrants against the local population. And
I'm going to have to say that a lot of that is not alleged. The grooming gangs
Yeah,
in the UK,
until they're fully prosecuted, they have to say that to
I understand,
you know.
right? But it looks like this is covering for all of the issues, right? So we have grooming gangs for 30, 40 years in the UK. We have civil unrest since the Troubles in Northern Ireland, right? And now with the system with Brexit, where the borders open and they're just going to go to whatever place is going to give them a better deal, or they run out of time in one place and then go to the other. When there was a third country they shouldn't have come from in the first place. They were already somewhere in the EU.
Yes,
and they
that's the
shouldn't have been
problem.
able to get to the UK from anywhere in the UK. And once they get to the UK, next country to go to from Northern Ireland is the Republic of Ireland. There isn't another place to go. Cannot go further west than that. They would just have to go back and start over, which is probably a better plan in the first place. But these aren't alleged things that have happened. They are actual things that have occurred. So that softening of speech is functionally unacceptable because it is happening, and the percentage of crime committed and the type of crime committed, super important per capita, is that those who have come there and done welcome have committed gross crimes, and they're not assimilating and they're causing issues.
Of course, the riots of this nature have followed in the last few, disturbing to see. And obviously the suspect has been charged, so this is now an active case. A report by The Telegraph indicates that this man, who is Sudanese and traveled from Sudan to Paris, was able to claim asylum in the UK by going through a loophole which is becoming more popular, which is flying to Dublin, flying to the Republic of Ireland, and then entering Northern Ireland because they share a sort of common movement agreement, so you can enter Northern Ireland from Ireland without being impeded, and these are the allegations swirling around how he was able to actually claim asylum in the UK a couple.
Right. Again, so the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland share the landmass.
Yes.
The Irish Isle, and when there is no bar to movement from the Brexited Northern Ireland area of the UK and the Republic of Ireland, both countries are functionally powerless. Regardless of why they're powerless, obviously something needs to be done. And we're not going to get into that because that is hours and hours of conversation. We don't want to go back to Delaware.
Yes, that's a whole different,
right.
It's a whole different thing.
So, yeah, we'll end up going back to the 1930s in Delaware to discuss the Troubles and things
yeah,
like that.
it'd be a whole thing all the way from the Good Friday Agreement onwards and Brexit, and it'll just be a whole thing. Yeah, it'll be a whole show.
Yeah, we don't have
even two shows.
We don't have 2.5 hours right now to go to it, but just understand that there's an issue with that border where it is.
There's a common freedom of movement between both north and south.
And at this point, neither country really wants that, but not a lot they can do because other interests will interpose themselves, regardless of what those entities are, who they are, doesn't matter. But because of that open border, they can either get to the UK or they can get to Ireland because of that free movement. There's no block. There's just not stopped, right?
Yes.
And Patrick has experience with that, having run across those borders for legitimate business purposes. On a daily basis for a couple of years.
Yeah, I know. I was grand. Good roads, actually, Northern Ireland. I wouldn't say that much about it. Really good roads.
Right, but because you are
nice
stopped.
Nice people. Yeah, there's nice people in Belfast as well. That's I have to say.
Right,
there's a lovely city.
Right, there's a pretty good sense of community there in West Belfast, North Belfast, and
really nice people.
Right, Maitiu Tighearnán will address that, and he has addressed it. And they're asking, hey, don't be violent about it. Just let it go. Not let it go, but understand that more violence is not a solution. Right. But then you run into the problem where if it's peaceful protest, then the government doesn't care because there isn't an effect, right? There isn't an economic effect. There's just people are unhappy in the streets, right? And as politicians become more disconnected and don't listen to the constituency when they say, hey, we don't want this, you end up with every government, Labor, Tory, doesn't matter, right? Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, whoever it is that's in charge, Sinn Féin, doesn't matter. They continue to not listen to the constituency and allow this kind of activity to take place in their communities, making it less safe for everyone, men, women, children, everybody.
Couple of years ago. But I think the broader issue here is, why is this becoming more and more common? I mean, we kind of, the playbook by politicians has become well established. It's call for calm and peace and unity, and diversity is our strength, and beheaders lives matter, apparently, or alleged beheaders lives matter. But why are we seeing cases like this more regularly? It's not a conspiracy by the right-wing press. A couple of years ago, Abdulazidi, a man who had no business being in the UK, who was rejected for asylum twice, who on the third time was granted asylum because he apparently converted to Christianity, poured acid on a mother and her 2 children in London before drowning himself in the Thames. This is becoming more and more common. The Manchester bomber, you will remember, who bombed dozens of children and parents going to see an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester. His family were granted asylum in the UK from Libya for being too extreme for Gaddafi. I mean, you're seeing these bonkers cases of people who have no business being in the UK with an asylum system that's already stretched to the limit, that really probably needs a reset of at least a few years before.
So we were talking before about fantastical statements by people that were granted asylum, right? Grimm's fairy tales could not equal the absurdity of these people's stories, and that they're allowed in it all. It's as if they are not being vetted, and then not only not being vetted, but the more extreme you are, the more we want you, which is anathema to what the citizens of the Republic of Ireland and the UK want.
It's absolutely crazy. And I remember that particular case, by the way, that she's on about the mother and 2 kids there.
I'm going to use your term here, not just numpty, but I think it's bollocks. It's absolute horseshit, right? It is unacceptable for the citizenry of those countries to have to put up with that. And it just gets worse when you have military-age men milling around your towns in the middle of the day in hotels that taxpayers are paying for, that politicians get a ton of money for. So you have one criminal class of landowners and a criminal class of criminals coming from other countries that are forcing the tax-paying citizenry to bear the brunt of their bad choices and their disconnection from reality. It is unacceptable.
And there seems, and not only that, but there seems to be endless amounts of money available to help these people. But when it comes to our own, both north and south of the border, in the Republic or Northern Ireland or in the UK, we're in the middle of a health crisis. We're in the middle of a housing crisis. But we seem to have millions, if not billions, to spend on housing people that are not a net contributor to our countries.
Right, and we were looking at the dole and the Shannon as to those who were landowners that were actually getting financial benefit from this. And it is an astronomical 85 or 90% are somehow getting financial return from this. So it looks like they're voting to line their pocketbooks.
By the way, on both sides of the aisle, on both the opposition and in the government, it's just like everyone has their hand, as they say, everyone has their hand out for making an absolute fortune off this.
I think the two that aren't are Independent Ireland and the Green Party. Like the only time those 2 groups align is they're not landowners that are getting millions of dollars. So it looks like this. I can rent my flat out to an Irish family for, I don't know, 1,100 euros a month. We'll just use a random number, right?
Yes,
But if I have 8 migrants in the house that get 230 euros a day, that's a lot of math.
It's down to, is it 120 odd euro? Yeah, 120 per day per person. Yeah, something like that.
Right. But if I have them in there and the government is paying for me to house 8 people at 130 quid a day, right? That's way more than
a lot of money.
That's in one day. I'm making more than the Irish family who's paying.
Then I would have make it over a month. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's a system that breeds dishonesty, kind of like the California voting system. Even if it's legal, it looks fishy. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lack of trust in the government there, just like there's a lack in the trust of the state government here. Like, it seems like the criminal class of politicians is doing unforgivable things and just saying, well, you can't look at it because we made the rules and, well, you put us in here. And then the financial machine just continues to allow them to grind.
But I think it's gone to the stage now. I was watching Rupert Lowe now speech and a few others. It's gone to the stage. it's so big that everyone can see it with their own two eyes now. It's not even some crazy conspiracy theory. You literally walk out your front door and walk into any main street in Ireland, the UK, Northern Ireland, no matter where it is, and you can see them during the day just wandering around your streets.
And
So
it doesn't make it safer for the people who live there, for the people who are indigenous. We get a lot of this. Well, they're indigenous people until it comes to the Irish people. Well, we have to make amends for what? For being Irish?
Yes.
We need to make amends for being Welsh. We need to make amends for being Scottish, American, English. Why do I need to make excuses? Right? And
yes.
we also covered Frank Wright's thing, and he had a lot to say about it, and he was actually really concise. We're going to probably do another thing on Frank Wright here soon.
Yes, we will later on, yeah.
And it has to do with the complete destruction of the culture and how we have to make excuses and then grind out our middle class and make it so our birth rates reduce. And, well, we have low birth rates, so we got to take people in. No, you don't. You don't have to do that, especially if they're not a net positive. If they don't do anything good for your economy and your people and they fail to assimilate and they make no-go zones, that's unacceptable. Just unacceptable.
Fully agree with you.
Can even take anyone in. And you just have to say, why are we expected to remain, calm and silent and from what it looks like from Westminster, docile, when these people have no business being in Britain and are clearly a threat to the native population, and somehow we're just supposed to be okay with it?
Yeah, I think you put your finger right on one of the things that infuriates people, Esther, is that being told that they're the problem, that they should stay calm in the face of provocation.
Exactly. And I think people are reasonable to expect a certain level of competence from their governments, whichever party is in power, because at the end of the day, the kinds of people that are able to settle and are granted leave to remain in the UK, we should reasonably expect that the government has done its due diligence with these individuals.
So when you do not do your due diligence, you put your people in danger. And when there are multiple provocations from populations that are not native to your place, continuing to allow them into your place is a recipe for absolute and abject failure. That does no one any good. And then reduce your ability to have a cohesive community, your ability to have it's just consumed. You get consumed by all of the things that are going on. And then you feel like you have no choice and you have no control.
And the sad thing is, it's every couple of months now we're having these headlines. It's unbelievable, absolutely crazy. And every time there's always appeal for calm. And I understand the burn down, what they're doing now, burn down your own community, is not helping matters. There should be proper protests. They should protest government buildings, not go up and down the streets. But at the end of the day, I understand that people are just burnt out and fed up of this whole narrative time and time again.
The media is tamping down on it. They're tamping down on it. They're saying, no, it's not that big a problem. Who paid you? Who paid you to lie to the people? Reporting used to be, here's the fact. This dude attacked this dude. This is the kind of dude this dude is.
I will say that most news sources I've looked at have been pretty straightforward with the facts.
With this one, right, because it is massive and it's in everybody's face. They can't say, well, we don't know. No, you know. You know. And to tell us you don't, like you do for most of these kinds of incidents, right? You have a hero who protects a man who's having his neck cut. Somebody is trying to behead him. He got in through some loophole where you can just move on through this space, and that's acceptable. The people are done. They are done with it.
But obviously, this guy had serious mental health issues. How did he get leave to stay in the UK for 5 years? How did he pass a vetting process?
If he was mentally unstable, he shouldn't have been let in the first place.
Exactly.
It should have gone to the last country where he shipped in from. It looks like he was
he flew in from Paris. He flew from Paris.
So then France didn't vet him appropriately. So when he got
not being smart. The French should do what all French do. They pass it on to another European country. They've been doing this for the last couple of years. And I understand the UK are fed up with it as well.
I'm not going to wave my hand. They were wrong.
Yes.
I don't care if that's what the French do or what the Germans do or what the Polish do.
Yeah, so look,
I don't care.
At the end of the day, what we need is a proper agreement all across the EU countries on saying this is how we're going to deal with it from now on, and everyone signs up to it.
Well, we should probably look to Poland or some of the Eastern European countries. They seem to be pretty good at it. Or take Switzerland's model, or even Denmark's model.
Or what? Just use the Dutch model. It's straightforward, simple. It's a 2-page document. These are the steps you follow. You don't follow these steps, you leave. That's it. Straightforward, simple, and everyone knows where they stand in.
Right. Learn the language, assimilate, contribute, or go.
I don't think that's unreasonable, and I don't think that asking people for calm when the government is clearly failing on this front repeatedly is the right way. Now, of course, riots and looting and the kinds of violent protests we've seen doesn't get anyone anywhere, and it's completely unacceptable. But people are rightly outraged. People who are not on the streets, who are not clearly vocalizing their anger at this, are still very angry, and these are the kinds of drip effects that lead the population towards more radical paths, because the politicians in charge are just not listening, not the Labour government, not the Conservative government, and people are looking for alternatives, and you can understand why, because these kinds of cases just should not happen.
He's absolutely correct. Shouldn't happen. Multiple provocations over the days, weeks, and months not be a thing that the public has to accept.
No. And it's every couple of weeks now. Every couple of weeks. We have headlines coming out of the UK. We have headlines coming over Northern Ireland. We have headlines from where I live in the Republic of Ireland. And it's always the same talking points from our governments. Well, stay calm, violence, people just fed up with it. They just want something done properly.
I think they have the right to be done. They have the right to be safe in their own countries. I don't want my children stabbed or my women, none of that either.
Yes.
Right? I don't want to bleep that out. So that is unacceptable behavior from guests in your country. When someone comes to my home, if they do something even one-tenth as bad as that, they're out on their ass. And if you touch any of the women who are in my space that I am responsible to provision for and protect, it will not be a good outcome. It'll be the worst possible outcome possible if you do that to people in my home who I am commissioned to protect of my own accord, my own will, and my own ability. Right? You are unwelcome in my home if you commit these acts. You should be unwelcome in a country if you commit these acts. On. See you.
Yes.
All right, Patrick. We're going to go ahead and pop on over to the articles we got going. All right, Patrick, we got it up. We got, was it Newsweek? We have a story by Tighearnán, who is Hadi Alodid. He's the suspect in the Belfast knife attack. You can see the fires here. So, the suspect in a knife attack that triggered anti-immigrant violence in several parts of Northern Ireland has been named for the first time after appearing in a Belfast court on Wednesday on an attempted murder charge. Hadi Alodid, 30, was held in jail after an appearance by video in Belfast Magistrates Court on Wednesday morning. Alodid, who is from Sudan, was accused of blinding Stephen Ogilvie in his left eye during an attack on Monday, prosecutors said. So that's great bodily injury, and that is definitely a no-no. In the United States, that is...
he's going to be officially charged with attempted murder. That's what it was.
Right. Well, at a minimum,
pretty much what it is.
At a minimum, it's a felony battery, and it is, in fact, an attempted murder as well, with the GBI possibly causing lethal wounds to Mr. Ogilvie, who is the individual who was attacked. No,
because he openly said that he wanted to kill him.
Well, that
multiple times for the multiple witnesses. So, yes, there's no kind of way of denying that, really.
All right. He was also threatened. He is also charged with threatening to kill a radiographer on the same day and with possessing a knife. Alodid refused legal representation through an Arabic interpreter and did not enter a plea. That's an issue anyway. He has been here for how long on a 5-year visa and has decided not to learn the language? Or are we playing funny games with, I don't speak your language?
Well, he was able to speak the language when he threatened to kill people. Very, very good English when he was threatened to cut a guy's head off. His English was... He had a great grasp of the English language then.
So it's
and he also threatened... He also had a great time inside threatening to kill a radiographer as well. So he had perfect English then.
So now he's suddenly numb. His language just reduced upon being charged.
Apparently,
Some difficulties there. I understand. Okay. Alodid's court appearance followed a night of violence in Northern Ireland, in which masked men set fire to several homes they believed to house immigrants, burned trash bins, torched a Belfast bus and pelted police with objects. Firefighters rescued several people from burning homes. You already have a problem with housing there. You're running short. You probably shouldn't be burning buildings. And I don't know that's the most effective way to do it. But again, if you're not doing something violent, the government probably isn't going to pay attention. Oh, just a bunch of nice people chanting and praying in the square. I guess it'll be okay. We'll just say some things. But if there's violence that can affect the bottom line, then maybe somebody will listen. Like the BLM figured that out in the United States, and it's just now, going everywhere. Not like it hasn't been going that way in a lot of places. So.
Yes.
That came after graphic video of the attack in the Kinnaird Avenue area of North Belfast circulated widely online and was seized on by anti-immigration activists. I like how they're anti-immigration activists. No, they just want their country back, dude. Come on. Mm-hmm. Stop bringing the bad people here. We're not appreciating this one little bit. The suspect is a Sudanese national who entered Northern Ireland in 2023, applied for asylum, and was granted leave to remain until 2028, a Home Office spokesperson confirmed to Newsweek. Leave to remain is the legal permission granted by the UK government that allows non-UK citizens to stay in the country for a specific period. Can you speak on what that looks like? Patrick?
Yes.
What does that look like? The leave to remain thing. What does that look like?
That's a UK thing. We have a similar in the Republic as well. There's normally a period of time to get your case together. So it's usually 12 months, 2 years. He got 5 years to prepare his asylum case.
Oh,
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, I don't understand. Why can't you just interview them when they rock up? Either their story is believable or not, and just get it all sorted in what, a couple of weeks? It's not that hard.
Wow. So you think a process that they say takes 2 years could take a significantly shorter period of time, Patrick? Come on now. Well, first they have to learn the language, and then they have to prepare their case, and they have to get a solicitor or a barrister. And
apparently they have a great commanded English language when it suits them by the looks of it, don't they?
When they're trying to beat the brakes off a citizen?
They seem to have great commanded English language when they fill out the social welfare forms.
Right.
In perfect English.
Ooh. Or they have Google Translate to talk to the people at the post.
Oh, of course they do. That's their usually excuse.
So he entered the UK in 2023 and was granted refugee status the same year. The individual claims to have entered the UK via the Common Travel Area, again, the North-South Republic to Northern Ireland track. At a press conference on Tuesday, Ryan Henderson, Assistant Chief Constable of the Police Service of Northern Ireland, said the police believe the suspect lived close to the area where the attack occurred. He said the suspect is believed to have entered Northern Ireland from the neighboring Republic of Ireland in 2023. My understanding is that the individual came into Northern Ireland from Dublin, moving up, and was then granted leave to remain. The Police Service of Northern Ireland, PSNI, said there was no information to suggest the attack is terrorism-related, and they are not seeking other suspects. The video was pretty good. It showed one fella saying wild things and attacking some folks. Or just one fella. So, who is Stephen Ogilvie? Ogilvie, a man in his 40s, sustained serious injuries to his face and back. So he was knifing the man in the back. Oh, being stabbed. He remained in serious condition in a hospital, police said on Tuesday. In a statement issued through the Stafford Ward, an independent counselor, Ogilvie's family said they want to make it clear that the overnight unrest is not welcome and that they do not want this terrible tragedy to divide people or fuel hostility. The government is dividing the people by allowing an excess amount of non-citizens to live in the space and pay with taxpayer money for them to live in that space. I don't know where the divide is coming from, but I don't necessarily think people reacting to a horrific stabbing that could have been prevented in the first place, or at least reduce the possibility seriously, is cause for, I don't know. What do you think, Patrick? It seems strange to me.
This whole asylum process should be handled better by both sides of the border, because this is absolutely ridiculous. As they were saying, Sky News Australia, none of these guys are vetted. We don't know if they have a mental health issue, do they have criminal records, or what's going on. It's getting worse. It's every couple of weeks we're having these headlines. I can guarantee you, I know it's a horrible thing to say, but I guarantee you we're going to be sitting here doing another story in another 3 or 4 weeks.
Right. So the whole next section is we don't want violence. Obviously, we don't want violence. And this is what it looks like in the aftermath. That's not great.
No.
So politicians condemn the violence. Of course they do. Of course they do. But when you tell me that we condemn the violence, why did you allow something like this to happen? Why are your policies so weak as to allow this, and now on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, constantly all the time, right?
Yes.
Same thing. Rupert Lowe was talking about the grooming gangs and all the horrificness related to that. And not only some of the local constabulary were not only complicit, but there might have been even more interaction than that.
Oh,
right?
yes, but that's still under investigation. Let's bear that in mind as well. But
Right, alleged.
At
But
the
the
end of the
problem
day-
is that if there's a lack of trust, and that's the thing that you're getting, and then an investigation through IA has to go through, that's a problem, right? That means that the trust is gone.
I think it's not just trust. I think people are just burnt out from it as well.
All right, I'm going
It's
to read
as I keep going back to all these horrific crimes.
Right.
Both in the UK, in the Republic, in Northern Ireland. It's not unfair to say most of these guys are coming from a certain area,
Oh yeah,
in certain areas, and a certain religion as well. Let's cut out the BS, as they would say long ago. Let's call it what it is. It's normally coming from the Muslim population.
Africa and the Muslim population, yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Let's not sugarcoat. We all know where this is coming from. We all know what's going on.
And it doesn't
And I
seem
think
to be
people
advancing the
are
interests of the Republic of Ireland or the UK or Northern. It's not helping anyone, and it's just
No.
getting worse.
And these guys are not a net positive. They're never going to be a net positive for our country, ever.
Right.
These guys are not going to work a top in their lives. They're just going to take from the system.
Right, and
That's
then we
crazy.
get enough of them to affect votes, then they're going to vote to oust whatever's there and put in their own thing. It's the way this goes. It is a
Yes.
slow, relentless takeover. It is an invasion. It's just really slow. And helped by the local government, the national government, at every level. From your council up to the dole, up to the
It's not. It's just,
everything.
but the sad thing is that it's just people. I can understand that violence is never going to be the answer. I do agree there, but I understand why people are burnt out.
The problem is
People are
violence.
fed up.
Right. The problem is
I
that
think people
violence
are
is
fed
the
up.
only thing that the government is going to listen to.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, we all are burnt out from this. Even people who are normally sitting on the fence are burnt out from this. Our health systems are collapsing. We have a lack of housing. And now we have a guy who literally got his head cut off in Belfast. How much more do you think people are going to put up with?
I don't think much at all. I think this is
No.
an onset to a much bigger issue. So
Yes.
the rest of this is discussing politicians condemning violence, which they will do. You can read this article. We're going to put it in there. So that's
Yeah, we'll put it in the links down below, as they would say.
so. The last part of it is in another post. She added, "I've also been speaking with the chief constable and those PSNI officers on the ground. They're taking significant footage and information. And there will be prosecutions over the next number of days. So they're going to do something, right?
Yes.
National Party is Sinn Féin. I was talking about it, and the Deputy First Minister Emma Little Engeli of the British Democratic Union Party. So violence does not advance the cause; it damages it. So, all right, we will get on to the next article from here. We'll go ahead and pull this bad boy up. All right, Maitiu Tighearnán was identified as the person who assisted, and we have an article here from Gript, pretty good source for this kind of stuff. Picture of your local hurler from northern Belfast. So, a local man has been identified as one of the heroic bystanders who intervened to put an end to last night's brutal attack in North Belfast shortly before police arrived. He was on Good Morning Britain, and he gave some statements, and he had a handler there, and they were actually pretty nice about it, about sense of community and things like that. So it was really
Yes.
so.
As I say, he's just a normal working class bloke.
Oh yeah,
Man. It's a normal bloke.
yeah. He said he dropped off his wee one after hurling practice, and I mean, what's more Northern Ireland than I've dropped off my son from hurling practice, and then
Yeah.
we had to go do work on the street. So He was among a number of bystanders who attempted to intervene and wrestle the attacker to the ground before police arrived at the scene after 10:30 p.m. And he put his life in danger. And well done for the action. Countries behind you. Just a
Yes.
lot of support. So there's a GoFundMe page for the Belfast attack hero. I don't know what that's about, but if people want to, say, hey, community is awesome. Here's a couple of quid. Have fun. Here's a
Yeah,
euro or
buy the man.
something.
Yeah, or people want to buy the man a pint, as they would say.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll buy him a pint. So that would be awesome. Love to meet that guy, actually. The group of men were filmed rushing to the aid of the man who had been pinned to the ground during the brutal knife attack. The man can be seen pictured with a bloodied head as the suspect used his knees to pin him to the ground. Reports on social media suggesting the victim had been slashed and stabbed in the head, which is the case. So he had wounds to his eyes. He lost his left eye, and the man was actually attempting to cut his head off, behead him, right?
Yes.
So, and there's videos showing it and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, we're not going to show any of those kind of videos, but what I'm saying is at the end of the day, people can find an X or wherever. But at the end of the day, I don't know how many times we've been covering these type of stories. I think it's every couple of weeks and months. I keep harping back to that.
Well, Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe are pretty much as one on this one with this needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Yes.
So, and I really hope that the Tories or Labour or whoever's running the show over there decides to listen and fix their policies and enforce those policies effectively to safeguard the British citizenry. Just be the right answer, because that's what the constituents want. A safe country where their culture is preserved. The indigenous people of that area, not the people who've come later and destroyed that culture or are doing their best to do so.
Yes.
All right, so let's see if there's anything else super special in here. Not seeing okay. The violence unfolded outside a block of flats in Kennard Avenue in North Belfast. And then after that, there was lots of violence that perpetrated. And the man who was in his 40s, Mr. Stephen Ogilvie, was in critical condition in the hospital. And they're saying he'll probably come out and be okay. They're looking at him being okay and waking up here at some point. But if something super big comes out of this, we'll definitely do another episode.
Oh, we'll definitely do a follow-up.
So, and he was first identified as Somalian. Come to find out, he was actually from Sudan. All right, that does it for this one. Anything more for the good of the people, Patrick?
As I said, myself personally, I'm fed up with reading these horrific stories. I'm fed up with our governments having the same talking points every single time.
Oh, don't be violent. Don't do bad things because they did bad things that we let them do.
Yes, and it's like, this guy was obviously a complete nut job. How would I name a god? He got past the vetting process? I would love to know. But that's up to the UK government to figure that one out. But we have the same problems here in the south, so we can't really talk.
Well, there's an accountability issue. The government is not accountable for the actions and the billions that are spent. Billions with a B. And they're euros, so they're even bigger than US dollars. You keep telling me about my monopoly money.
It is monopoly money. But but all jokes aside, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Every couple of weeks we're covering one of these stories. And it seems to be getting worse and worse, really, isn't it?
Well, every time we go to look up stories that we're going to do, literally every third or fourth show, it's something bad has happened in a G20 country because of an immigration policy, or a failed immigration policy, or someone's lack, or the political criminal class that is making millions upon millions of dollars at the cost of the people as we get taxed more with VAT taxes and sales tax and all these, you know what I'm saying? So we're getting pressed on even further. Logistics costs and everything is just going up.
The cost of living. You name it. We're all pinned to the collar, as they say at this stage.
Yeah, it's not the best. So, all right. For Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. Like the ring the bell, subscribe, and help us beat the algorithm. For the A&P Gents, we are